So I'd like to first take the opportunity to thank all the TEDxHickory staff and all the volunteers. There's a lot of people running around in black shirts today. There's a lot of behind the scenes that we need to ensure that we're thanking these guys as you go through today for this movement. This really is a movement that these guys are putting together to challenge us to think about how to be different and how to be a doer or a maker. So I want to start this morning and ask you to think about your favorite song. What is your favorite song that you get up in the morning and get in the shower and sing? What is your favorite song that you sit in your car while you're driving to work and you don't know what else to listen to and you hum? What is that favorite song? So think about that. So I'm going to show you one of my favorite songs, and I'll tell you why in a second. So, that's my two beautiful daughters. They're here in the crowd today. But that song is almost a theme song for me, that I like to move it. And most of you have probably seen Madagascar or have kids or seen that aspect of the movie. But think about that song of I like to move it. And what we're going to talk about today is trying to find purpose for a movement. Trying to figure out what drives you to get out and move. What is that purpose? And move could be a lot of different aspects. Move isn't going out about having to walk around. Move is about doing something different than what you're doing today. And to go with the theme that you're going to hear throughout today, we're talking about being a doer. The move to become a doer. So let me give you a little bit of my story. Really no different than probably the majority of you. I did grow up in Georgia, so I grew up down south. I went to school at the United States Merchant Marine Academy up in New York, so kind of a transplanted up into the New York Yankee area. But then took a commission in the United States Marine Corps, got stationed at Camp Lejeune, met my beautiful wife, decided I wanted to get out of the Marine Corps, and took a job with Corning here in Hickory. We've been in Hickory for 11 years now. My wife and I also opened a running store. We're 6 years old, Fleet Feet Sports, and that really has become our movement for our family. I started to enjoy running in college. There was a couple of things that I found out that I could do. As you can see, I'm a little shorter than most people, so I couldn't go and play basketball. I wasn't a really good baseball player, even though I tried very hard. But I realized I could do pull-ups, and I think that was because the weight to body mass ratio kind of worked out pretty well for me. And I could run. I never ran. I was a band geek in high school, played the saxophone, never ran. But I started running in college because it was something I could do well. That was my original purpose for running. I did my first marathon in 1997. I knew I was going into the Marine Corps, so I did the Marine Corps Marathon. I do almost a marathon a year now, from 1997. I've done over 20 marathon races, including Boston, 6 ultra marathon distances, something over 26 miles, and I've done 3 Ironman. And not that I'm trying to highlight, but what I did is I found my movement, what caused me to be able to do that. And we're going to talk about that in a couple of seconds. So thinking of a movement and thinking of moving, I want to start first with defining what this really is. So motion, the change of position, so going from one area to another of an object. You are that object, but it's all within respect to time. Taking Newton's first law, force equals mass times acceleration, some force really has to get you to move. You have to define that force for yourself. You're going to hear about all kinds of different forces today. You're going to hear about all kinds of different movements today, about people taking the step and becoming a doer and forming some type of movement. So going from motion to move, you can have small motion, but to truly move, you need to go from a certain state or condition to another state or condition. So I'm not just talking about a little bit of motion. I'm talking about truly taking that step and having movement. Movement is the act or process of moving forward. TEDx is a movement. It's a movement to challenge people to start thinking about what can they do? How can they make? How can they challenge themselves? So what are you moving to? What is your movement? What is your purpose today? There's a lot of different ways that you need to define yourself to say, should I be part of something? Should I make a change? There's a lot of different ways that people individually motivate themselves. And I personally use Ironman today as my major motivation. I have a group of friends, and that camaraderie is what brings us together to be able to challenge ourselves to swim 2.4 miles, ride on a bicycle 112 miles, and then finish it with a 26.2 mile run. If you're saying, why are you measuring 0.2? I mean, believe me, 0.2 miles at the end of all of that is very, very challenging. And it actually shows, when you look on the left-hand upper side of the screen, a lady named Julie Moss. She is actually what challenged and brought Ironman out into the forefront of all of the society. She was physically crawling that last 2 miles. She was crawling on her hands and knees that last 0.2 miles as she went forward to cross that finish line. What do you think caused her to want to do that? What movement was behind her? What was that purpose? It was to finish. She set something out in front of her, and she wanted to finish it. To talk about another group of people within this collage, it's down in the bottom center. That is Rick and Dick Hoyt. I tell you, these guys together are probably one of the biggest motivation factors for me. Dick, who today is 72 years old, with his son, Rick, who is 50. They compete in Ironman distance races, marathons, and ultra marathons. Now, what's different is that Rick is a paraplegic. His dad, Dick, pulls him in a boat as he swims 2.4 miles. He rides him in like a car seat on his bicycle for 112 miles, and then he pushes him in a stroller. What do you think his purpose was? He wanted his son to be able to do something that he couldn't physically do. The last person I want to talk about is Scott Rigsby. Some of you might be familiar with Scott. He was here last year. Fry graciously helped bring Scott Rigsby to put on a race here called Do the Unthinkable. Scott is an amputee that was the first double amputee to compete in the Hawaii Ironman Triathlon and complete it. He doesn't do those because he can. He does those because he wants to motivate others that think they can't. That is his sole purpose. All his proceeds goes to the wounded warriors. Well, you're thinking, okay, wounded warriors, he might have been military. He wasn't. He was not even a military person. But he realized that he had the opportunity to change people's lives. Today, as I stated, I use an Ironman as one of my motivation factors. The camaraderie, the ability to complete, to challenge myself. I also am taking proceeds to move forward to help the wounded warriors. Coming from the Marine Corps, that really hits my heart. But it's not about me. It's not about what I am doing to be able to find that. I'm asking you, what are you doing to move? What is your purpose to be able to do those? Having a running store, I think movement is always about running and walking, but it is far, far more than that. Just coming here today was the very first step. Maybe of a 10,000-step journey that is challenged for people to do that every day. But there are multiple opportunities, whether it's through local races. There's a Do the Unthinkable later this year. Finding that purpose to be able to challenge yourself to do something you've never done before. There's local groups, no different than TEDx here. But it should be you, personally, that wants to be able to move forward. It's funny, Mike and I were talking this morning, just kind of as me being very anal and OCD. I came here at 7 o'clock, was sitting out in the parking lot, ready to get in the door. You don't understand. I like to talk, but, it's always challenging. But as I was talking to Mike this morning, we were talking about the challenge of where do you move forward? How do you continue to do that? How do you take that step? What is that drive? You can't take a parked car and think you're going to go somewhere. And what I'm saying is you need to take that first step and change. Take your parked car where you're sitting today and find the road you want to go down and figure out what can you change to do that. Is it time for you to change? Do you have that purpose, that drive? Do you have a movement? Change is truly one step at a time. There's the old saying, if you need to eat an elephant, how are you going to do it? You physically have to do it one piece at a time. That's exactly what finding your movement, finding that motion, and finding that purpose takes. It's that one physical step at a time. You took a step today to be here. Take the rest of the input from everybody else and find your true purpose. Because you're going to hear all kinds of gamuts today, across the board. Find that purpose. An old African proverb, and I'm going to read it and I apologize, lions or a gazelle. Every morning in Africa, a gazelle wakes up. It knows it must run faster than the fastest lion, or it will be killed. Every morning, a lion wakes up. It knows it must outrun the slowest gazelle, or it'll starve to death. It doesn't matter whether you're the gazelle or the lion. When the sun comes up, you better be running. It doesn't matter. What is your purpose? What is your drive? Whether it's staying alive, like the gazelle, because you don't want to be eaten by a lion, or whether it's just running to catch something that you can't get. What is your purpose? You can't stop. You have to continue moving forward. But think about that. What is your theme song that you thought about at the very beginning? Is it causing you to do something different? Is it causing you to move? Is it causing you to be part of a movement? Life is truly bigger than all of us. You'll hear that as we go through today. And I have to tell a story because it hit me yesterday. My wife, with our store, went out to the homeless veterans group over in Newton. And a lot of you might not even know that went on. We took used shoes and gave them to people that were excited to have them. We had 2 sock companies here that gave us free socks to be able to put on people's feet. What is your movement? What are you doing to make a difference? Just giving somebody one thing, one sock made a true difference in somebody's life, and giving them used shoes. I just totally screwed that up. But I challenge you today to really think how to start your movement. Use today as a stepping stone to think about something that is different, how you can create your own movement, and how you can be a movement for others. Thank you.